What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engineers Without Filters podcast, episode 166. I'm your host, Jacob Thompson, and tonight I am drinking... You guys remember, I had on the podcast a hot minute ago. It's the Aldi Cerveza Monterey.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I didn't buy it again. Here's what happened. Many moons ago, when I had some podcast, I had like a six-pack or whatever, and I got through some of them. And then went to my friend Lissa's house and brought it over and like had a couple, like, there was some in their fridge still. And then like a few weeks ago, she's like dumped some old stuff in her fridge in my fridge because she wasn't gonna drink it, and it came back to me. So you know it's old because the best by date is May 23, which is in 2 months. So
nice.
We got there.
So it tastes worse than when you abandoned it. Is what I'm hearing.
Most likely.
Yeah.
It's just aged.
Yeah, it's aged cerveza.
I don't know if
So
that
all the
works.
kids are drinking these days.
I don't think it ages in the glass bottle, but okay.
I'm Joseph, and I've got the tried and true Two-Hearted, baby. In a glass
Nice.
bottle, no
Hell yeah.
less. Glass bottle gang, rise up.
All right, well, I'm Gabe, and I'm drinking a cherry bubbly tonight because I'm overcoming sickness.
Lame.
So, plain and safe. Yeah, sickness is very lame. I'm mostly back, but I'm being a little cautious, so.
No, that's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm Dayton, and I'm drinking beer this week. I got the
Oh, he's
Bell's
back.
Quite Bright. Yeah,
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like-
yeah. I think
it's
I
like was it Blue Moon?
Yeah.
Like Bell's Blue Moon.
Is it? It's like a winter ale or whatever.
No, it's a wheat. Belgian
Oh, okay.
wheat
Oh,
ale.
I'm thinking of what is it? There's a Bell's winter one that
I know what you're talking about, Jake.
Yeah, I
Like
can't
a
remember what it's
white
called.
or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's got the picture of the trees, and it's
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it.
white.
Anywho, welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Engineers Without Filters podcast, where the four of us come on and bullshit about something weird. We're posting episodes every 2 weeks on Mondays. On the off weeks, we're on our Twitch channel on Thursday nights streaming some games. You can find that at twitch.tv/ewf_podcast. Make sure you check that out. You can also follow us on socials. Links are in the description below. But yeah, tell your friends about it. We're posted on podcasts and on YouTube, so I hope you'll like it. But before we get into this week's topic, let's do a little quick update. How you guys doing? I'm gonna go to Gabe first. Besides the sickness, what else is going on?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could tell you like what caused it, or like what I think was causing it. As you guys have known, I've been like working out towards my century ride, and that last week was like that I did before I got sick was like the busiest one, and it was a lot of load, and it didn't feel like it jumped up really high from like a decent amount to a lot. And I was stupid, and I just sent it, and I was working out more than my body probably could handle it. And I was noticing my resting heart rate was going up, which is never a good sign. And I was getting tired. I was going to bed like hour and a half earlier for like 2 days. Then I go snowboarding, and I just like didn't have any off days, basically.
Yeah.
Working out like more than I should. I should have been a little more cautious, like ramping up. And then, yeah, Monday night, went to bed super early. I'm like, I guess I'm just tired. And then I woke up Tuesday feeling like shit. I was like, maybe it's just food poisoning. And I just, I was
That's
just
what you
like,
go to? That's like
I
way
was-
worse than being sick.
I don't know, because all I had, it was weird because I only had nausea. So I was like, in the morning, it was like my stomach and nausea. So I was like, maybe it was just something I ate.
Oh, interesting.
And then as the day went on, I got like a headache and then a fever, and then I just had chills like I've never had before. Like I'm not joking, at one point I had like 4 blankets on me just to stay warm. It was like really bad.
Oh man.
And then I woke up like the next day like mostly fine, and then today I'd say I'm like at like 90%, but totally threw me off course from my plan. And just, when you get to a point where you're so sick you don't think about anything else besides like, why am I sick?
Yeah.
It totally throws out your routine, and you just think about living.
Also,
this-
like getting sick when you live alone hits different.
It was kind of, I won't
It's
want to say
kinda-
scary, but
yeah.
it kind of was. Because
Yeah.
there's like one moment when I was like I like got up, went to the bathroom, and I went to refill my water, and I like forgot my water. But by then, like I was getting shaky, and I like went under my 4 blankets, and I was like, "Fuck, I forgot my water," and I couldn't like do the "Hey Dayton," you know, like I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, man, just like little shit like that definitely sucks.
Yeah. It's weird. You have those moments if you're feeling really shitty and you're like, maybe it's just me, but it's like if I died, how many days would it take for someone to find my body? You know, like
That like what's the word? Obtrusive thought.
Intrusive.
Thought.
Intrusive
Sorry.
thought,
Intrusive
yeah.
thought. Definitely crossed my mind at one point. It's like I wasn't like sick enough to the point where I was gonna die. I'm like, if I did, like no one would know.
You know,
So
every
I-
other week would be like, huh, where's Gabe then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like work would be like, where is he?
But also, like, I don't know your address. I don't know how to reach you. I don't know
Yeah.
who to call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends. I'm sure they would like if I was really sick. They, people would bail me out. But
Yeah.
definitely it was weird. So
Mhm.
today's like the first day where I feel like I'm back. So I really don't have much of a story besides working out and then 3 days
Hey.
of blur. So
You're alive. That's all that matters.
yeah, we're back.
If you want to hear us talk more about intrusive thoughts, we did an episode about it not too long ago. So check that out. But
What a plug.
I'll go next. I have a similar story to you, Gabe, of thinking I was gonna die.
So that's fun.
kind of, but also like, so for reasons I'm not going to talk about on this episode, I'll talk about it in a next episode every 2 weeks. Last week I was very, very stressed. It just kind of like freaking out and having like a mental breakdown. And I'm getting better at managing my anxiety, but like as I've talked about before, often it manifests like physical symptoms for me. Like the classic is I get super anxious, I'll throw up, but occasionally my body's like, let's try out some new things. And I had the early last week I had like heart palpitations, which for me was like my heart felt like it was pounding super loud. The heart rate was fine, but it was just like banging for like 3 days straight, and that kind of freaked me out. And like I figured it was anxiety because it happened one time before when we were in college at the house, and I went in to get my heart checked, and it was like totally fine. So
I
I guess
remember
probably
that.
just that again. Yeah. So like it's probably just stress, and like I did my exercises that I've learned through therapy, and like was able to kind of get that taken down a notch, and they went away. So that was good. But then like the fucking next day, and I don't know, I got a small bladder, but I feel like I was peeing constantly. Like I was peeing like every hour, and like I drink like a good amount of water, but I feel like I drink like a crazy amount, and I just like I don't know for multiple days I was like, am I peeing too much? Like I don't know, like the color is fine. It doesn't smell weird. Like I was looking up on WebMD, frequent urination. There's like a million things that could cause it. And I'm like, it's probably
Kidney
just anxiety because
stones.
I get kidney stones. Yeah, 'cause I'm like,
Yep.
it's probably just anxiety because when I get anxious, I pee a lot. 'Cause it's like your body going into fight or flight. It's like just dump all of the shit out of your body so you're ready to go. So like I don't know. And like I was talking to my doctor anyway here at Purdue because also, sorry, side tangent. You guys remember my toe saga? Of my toe getting fucked and then coming back double thick. It's so close to getting back to normal, but of course it turned into an ingrown toenail right at the end. So I had to get that checked out. It's fine now, but last time I talked about my ingrown toenail anyway, and I was like, also, I feel like I'm peeing a lot. Should I be worried? And she's like, oh, you're probably fine, but like if you want me to order a urine test, like we can do that so you can have peace of mind. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. It's worth for the peace of mind. Yeah.
Boo.
So I went and I peed in a cup for the first time, and that was an experience, Joseph, because like
What do you mean
got
for the first time?
I've never had to do like a drug
You
test.
never done
or
like a drug
anything.
test or anything?
Wow.
That's crazy.
And that she's like, you don't have to schedule an appointment. You just go in anytime 8 to 5. Just go to the lab and they'll take care of me. Okay, I'm like, I gotta time this right, because I can't be going in dry, right? Because I'll be like stuck in the bathroom for who knows how long. But I also don't want to go bursting at the seams.
Well, if
what
you're
like,
too hydrated, the test isn't valid. They'll null and void it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to walk in like holding my jeans if there's like a line to check in, So I gotta like time it right. So like, it was like afternoon, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I could pee right now. So but I don't have to pee too bad. I'm like, all right, we're gonna go. And like they'll probably be able to have a line. So I've gone to that lab in the past. There's usually like a good amount in the afternoon. Drive over there, go to the lab. fucking no one. It's wasteland. No one's there. And the receptionist like calls out to me. She's becoming like, "What are you here for?" I'm just like, look to the left, look to the right. Here to submit a urine sample. I'm not like that embarrassed, but it's like, let me get close and talk to you, face about it. Anyway, so yeah, and it's super fast check-in, and I go in there. I'm like, it's not coming. Like I thought I was ready to go, and nothing's happening. And I was like, oh shit! And it took me like 5 minutes, and I was able to make it work. But I got too cocky. I'm like, I'll be able to pee, and then it was a little bit sketchy there. But then I got the test back, and everything's fine as expected. But yeah, if you're out there and you're stressed out, your body might be trying to tell you in very interesting ways. So
That's so funny.
there you go.
It's crazy you avoided like pee tests this long.
Yeah,
That's crazy to me.
I've had to do so many.
Yeah.
I had to do one at Los Alamos where there was just like 3 vans rolled up and they were converted into like mobile drug test stations. And I walk in and like they had Cars on like VHS, like the movie Cars, and then just the line. And the guy was just like talking to everybody who like went through the line. Like, it's like my first day, and if you like failed, they sent you back.
That's
Oh my god.
Well, but also like you guys have both done like government high like security clearance.
Even outside
shit.
of that, like I mean, I've done
Yeah.
it for every single job. At
Same.
least a pee test. For my job out in Connecticut, I had to do a hair test.
I guess for this
Same.
job, I haven't had one, but every other job I have.
So maybe well now I'm ready. Now I know what to expect. I know what level
A
of
proper amount of
urination I
water.
need to be at. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Joseph, how you doing? How's your week?
Let's see. My week's been pretty good. Alyssa and I finished season 7 of Game of Thrones.
Oh, very nice.
So that
It's getting bad.
it been bad. IMO. I still want to we're still gonna finish it.
Does she think it's getting bad, or are you projecting like on her?
I'm trying to keep my bias to myself, but it's
Well, 'cause
hard.
She doesn't know how unsatisfying it's gonna be. You know.
We gotta be careful because she watches these.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna spoil anything.
No. I don't know. Like some of the dialogue really falls off, and I'll just laugh at it, and it's like, okay, I'm not laughing at the joke that they made.
Right,
I'm laughing at how bad it is,
Right.
and it's like I don't want to ruin it for her because like when I watched it, I didn't really pick up on it too much, and it could be because we were just hyped for it at the time. And that kind of like adrenaline, I didn't really care for the most part.
Right.
Anyway,
There's a huge uptick in cock jokes in the last couple seasons.
yeah. Well, literally, I think it's either the finale of season 7 or episode 6, so the one before it, and it's like just a string of them. I don't know, not to spoil with anyone, but there's the conversation with the Hound and Tormund.
Yeah.
And there's that, and then there's another conversation with Jamie and Bronn later on. It's like, Jesus Christ, like, come up with something better.
Yeah.
So we're gonna finish it. It's also the episodes get longer. I think they're all over an hour now, and with our I get home later and she goes to bed earlier, so like that kind of eats up the entire evening if we do that now.
Right.
Not that it didn't already, but it's gonna be a lot more. So it will probably slow down on the episodes for a little bit. But so that's been fun. I also have been continuing my train of one-upping people, and I also bought a gravel bike.
Is it one better than my bike?
It's a Specialized Diverge.
Is it the carbon model?
Yeah.
What group set?
It's the SRAM Rival one, I
Fuck.
think.
Okay.
It has.
I have a mixed group, so I have half rival, half apex. So that's one. It's like half, but it's better than mine.
I'm starting to think that Joseph he doesn't have any like thoughts of his own. He just sees
He just
like
waits.
Yeah, he just waits
I've
for one of
been
us, and then he's like
contemplating this for
okay.
a while. We're at work. We've been talking about bikes a lot because it's getting close to bike season, and then I kind of decided the bike I wanted, and then there was like this was probably in early January. We were talking about this, and my size went out of stock for a while. So then I was like, okay, do I really need it? And I was just kind of going back and forth. And then the other day I was taking a shit, and I was my morning shit, and I checked the website and it was in stock, and I bought it. And then I checked later that day and it was out of stock. So I was glad I jumped on it then.
Oh, yeah.
But it came in yesterday, so I assembled it and I got to ride it today because I didn't have pedals for it. So, but it's
Very
got
nice.
a
Fuck you.
shock absorber in the handlebars.
Oh, it's that one.
Mhm.
It's got
Yeah.
the future shock, and then it has a compartment in the down tube that opens up, and so I can store stuff in the down tube of it, which
Ooh,
is
that's
pretty
nice.
nice.
Those
Yeah.
bikes are super nice.
Yeah. I'm pretty fucking stoked, and I'm also itching for the roads to clear out and the weather to get nice to ride it. I rode it around the store and then in the parking lot a little bit today, and I was like, "Oh, buddy, this is gonna be bad."
So
But
is this something you're gonna get rid of your old bike, or is this a different use?
this is a different use.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to use it as a commuter,
Mm.
to work in the mornings and stuff. Um, and we'll see how that goes. I still need to figure out if I want to do clipless pedals or flats on it. I'm
If
leaning.
you get gravel clipless pedals, you can do both.
Oh,
That's
the
I was.
hybrid ones.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm looking at like the Crank Brothers double shots, so they have the flat on the one side, and
Uh-huh.
um, so that's kind of what I'm leaning. Just because it'd be nice to ride it with flats every once in a while, and still
Yeah.
have the clipless option, especially because I'm horrified of doing clipless and getting run over by a car because I can't get my feet off the pedals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So
Or even worse, just when you go uphill too fast and you need
And
to
it-
jump off so you don't slam your cooch in the crossbar.
yeah, so I've
That's happened to me.
I've also had my coworkers tell me they were riding through like a crosswalk and just like fell over, and the cars are just stopped waiting for them. It's like, I don't know, I can't get my feet out.
That's funny. I've
Um,
only used clipless on like the trainer. I got some clipless pedals, but yeah, same thing. I'd be scared to take it out in real life because
yeah, so
jumping out's a lot harder when there's actual pressure instead of like me in place. So
yeah, so
that's exciting though.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Congrats,
thank you.
Dayton. What are
Mm,
you
Did
doing?
you buy a bike?
no, I didn't buy a bike. Nope.
He bought one better than you.
Hey, there's a full suspension Diverge.
Nah.
Yeah, you got an
That's
e-bike.
not in the cards right now, sadly. No, I don't know. It's been pretty boring. I've just been lifting, watching anime, reading. Nothing really to write home about.
All right. I mean, sometimes that's good. You know, just
Yep.
you're hanging out, you're chilling.
Yep.
I like it. All right. Well, let's get into our topic today. Gabe, you are the point man for this week. Give us the spiel.
You dying?
AI. I was trying to do a spacey voice. Dayton will do an edit. It'll sound super cool, right, Dayton?
Yeah, dude, totally.
Yeah, thanks, man. You're the best. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have heard. There's this. I mean, AI has been around, I guess, for a while. It's been a buzzword, I think, that's been kind of evolving more and more the last, I don't know, I'd say 5 years, but it's been around for. I think, like, to me, like the dawning moment of like AI and like the public was like Watson and fucking and
Jeopardy?
Jeopardy.
Mm.
Yeah. But since then, I mean, I feel like every product that ever comes out that is a software product always says it's got AI technology, it's blah 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 blah. But recently, it's kind of like become even more popular because of a little thing called ChatGPT. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I know we're very late to the game, especially by the time this is published. I mean, it came out in like I want to say it came out in December or November or something like that. But already by like the first couple months, it's gotten millions and millions and millions of users. It's insane how fast people have adopted it.
Hmm.
And I've just been having a lot of conversations with coworkers and friends about where we see it going, and just seeing like, watching these videos online of like what it can do and like what that means for our way of life. And at the same time of ChatGPT, there's been other tools that we've seen within the last year, including like AI voice, where I'm sure you guys have seen the memes by now, where people do, like we were just talking about before the podcast, like, the Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and Barack Obama playing Minecraft
Hmm.
shit, where like
The best. It's the best shit of all time.
you can replicate their voice by giving it a sample. And there's mouth syncing, where they can like put the voice and sync it to mouths, as well as man, what was the last one?
There's the eye. There's the eye thing where you could always look at the camera.
Yeah, and then finally, art, AI art has become a
Mhm.
big topic. So I guess like just to open the floor about the topic, I was curious what you guys see these like influx of tools as. I watched a video by the famous YouTuber Tom Scott, and he said he saw it as the next smartphone, where it's like
Mm.
this is the next like inflection point in how we go about our lives. Like it'll change. Like, I mean, time before smartphones and time after smartphones are
Yeah.
very different, and he sees it as like the next thing. Uh, but I was just curious, I guess, what we all thought about these tools, if they're overhyped, if they're gonna take our jobs, if there's gonna be Terminator, Skynet, whatever. So
Well, it's funny you mentioned how AI has been like in the public lexicon for like the last 5 years or so. It's for a while. It's been like people talk about AI or heard about it, and I feel like for such a long time, whenever I'd see on a website, we use AI to do this thing. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I'm not seeing it, and
Hmm.
it seemed like just a Silicon Valley buzzword.
mhm.
The last few months, it seems like no, this shit is real and it is coming. Like everyone, we finally figured it out at least enough to where we can actually like use it in a meaningful way. Um, the biggest things, I guess, like the new Bing AI chatbot is it's in beta right now, or like closed beta, but like that's gonna be rolling out soon. AI art's been around for a minute now, and then ChatGPT. So I don't know, man. Like I'm more scared than excited at this point because it's moving so fast, and we still don't even have good like laws for older technology, and like this is going to be a whole other can of worms. Like thankfully we're getting some lawsuits about like copyright and stuff, but um I don't know. I'm mostly feeling a little bit sad, like scared about it.
I I feel like there's a lot of interesting opportunity that people aren't utilizing yet.
Mm.
Um, like the image generators and the text generators and stuff. I feel like people always assume, oh, they're gonna write essays and they're gonna, for students, and they're gonna, create the new works of art,
Mhm.
and things
Mhm.
like that. And I don't see that happening, especially based off like the images I've seen and like the process of it. It's it's a lot of regurgitation.
Mhm.
Um, especially like the image generators. I don't foresee that being like taking over the art space or anything. I think it can be a great tool for artists and copywriters for like storyboarding perhaps, and like using it in their workflow and stuff like that. But I don't think we're going to see like finished products
Mm.
of um generated images or even generated like stories. Like, you see a lot of YouTube videos now where it's like the whole first half of this YouTube video was completely generated by AI or whatever. And it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, you can do stuff like that. And I watched like Wisecrack. It's a
Mm.
philosophy YouTuber or YouTube channel that I watch every
Mhm.
once in a while. And they kind of touched up on it, and they're like, yeah, like it's interesting that like like we just typed in make a wisecrack video with these like topics kind of thing, and like yeah, they did a decent job of like getting understanding what the YouTube channel is, and like that's really interesting how, it's like they didn't say like a philosophy video based around like, they kind of got the feel of and the flow of the video, and it's like yeah, it's a decent thing, but it wasn't perfect, and they're like yeah, this is a good jumping off point, this is a good outline that we could use, but definitely not a video here, um, definitely not like a finished product. And I think
Right.
that's where it's gonna really excel, is like that kind of storyboarding and like outlines and stuff. That's how
Right.
I foresee it, at least.
Well, sorry to jump ahead of you, Dayton, but like that's the thing I'm most uncertain about is like I agree with you, Joseph, completely for like how they are now. Like they're a really
Mhm.
good tool to like a jumping off point, like you said. That's what MKBHD talks about a lot, right? I just worry like because everyone's like, oh yeah, now they're doing that, but in 10 years it'll get so good that it can be a finished product. It's like, where's the ceiling? That's what I don't know. And like, will we get to a point in 20 years where they can create finished product worthy stuff immediately? And if that happens, that's not good in my opinion. But I was also thinking about like if it gets to that point where everything's being generated by AI, there's gonna be no new art, like nothing new, because AI, you'd ask it to do something, but it gives you the answer based on what already exists. And if it gets to the point where everything's generated by AI and it's just all this kind of echo chambering with itself, nothing actually like new or creative is gonna come into form. So I hope that that's enough of like a push for people to still create new things, because even for this, even if it was for like the reason of just creating new data for the AI to use in its data set, which would be very dystopian, but like um I don't know. I guess yeah, that's what I agree with you. Like, it's a great tool for now and can be helpful, but I'm just worried that what if it gets to the point where it's so good that it can be a finished product thing.
And if it does get to that point, I kind of see it. I don't know, and maybe I do have a more short-sighted opinion on it, or whatever. Um, but I feel like you could almost, excuse me, like a similar analogy would be like fast food. People,
Mm-hmm.
I think there was like not a scare, but like, oh, we have these pre-processed meals ready quickly,
Mm-hmm.
on the go, blah blah blah. That hasn't stopped sit-down restaurants. That hasn't stopped, five-star chefs from still creating
Mm-hmm.
great meals and like doing that. It's just a different niche, and I think as long as people are willing to be creative, art isn't going to be taken over, because there's always going to be people willing to generate it. I could understand like, AAA and like big companies, like media companies
Mm-hmm.
using it a lot, and it's like, okay, cool. If it'll probably get bland, and then if it gets bland, people will stop
Yeah.
utilizing it and
Yeah.
stop like wanting to
Mm-hmm.
see those movies or those shows or listening to that music or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. um, and the people that are passionate about it will continue to support actual artists,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I guess. I mean, the fast food analogy I think is good, but it's also like how many restaurants did fast food put out of business?
yeah.
And I think that a similar thing could happen here. Is like if it's what it's making maybe isn't good, but it's good enough and it's easy
Hmm.
enough to obtain. Like that's what fast food is, right? McDonald's, like it's cheap and it's good enough, so I'm gonna go there, right? And if that's what AI becomes, then that might stifle a lot of creativity from people that otherwise you would have seen their stuff, or. But
Hmm.
it's we just don't know yet. We just don't know, and I hope it all turns out well, but I'm worried it won't because people. But
Yeah.
Dayton, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I'm I feel like I've thought about it a lot, and I feel like I just keep on thinking in circles on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I keep on I can definitely see like how it's scary, but I can definitely see how like it can just completely flop. Um, or how it could just be like a very like middle ground thing, like how I don't know, like I guess like an example would be like when like the calculator like or like the first adding machine came out, and
Mhm.
you know like yeah that was like people's like entire like jobs to you know like essentially be like an accountant, and but they just use it as a tool, right?
Mhm.
But this
Mhm.
has the opportunity to like become more than a tool, um, depending on like where it stops. And I think that kind of gets into like where like the whole like Tom Scott like the sign or it's the what is it the not
Singularity.
sine no it's not sinusoidal, it's sigmoidal I think is what it's called. I don't know, but somebody fact check me eventually on that. I don't want to. I don't. But like we're like you're on like you're increasing, but then eventually it'll taper off, and like you don't know where exactly that's gonna stop. And
Right.
to me, that's I don't know. It's not that scary. It like not knowing because I don't know. It's like I don't have any impact on this. Like I am just an observer. Like
Mhm.
I'm not working in AI. Um, I mean yeah. I don't
Well,
know.
you say that, but I think all of us are involved because we're all consuming AI generated content, and that will drive the market. Like we're all watching these Trump and Biden memes because they're funny, but
Okay, but
also it's like
that's
it's
not a
showing.
market. That's literally just some dude in the basement just like making these memes for fun.
I disagree. I mean, how many new YouTube channels have absolutely popped off because of those? I mean, I see every time I watch one, it's a different YouTube channel that has thousands of views,
I
and
don't
those
watch them on
I'm sure
YouTube.
a lot of those are monetized. So like all this all this relates back as consumers, we do have some degree of influence over what
Okay, but
companies will do.
you also like so they're still using it as a tool.
Yeah.
Like they're still making it creative, right? Like they're like I have this idea and I'm going to use this to make it a lot faster for myself to make this, right? So for example, like if you take like the birthday projects that I make for all you guys, I I come up with those ideas and I have to manually grab your voice snippets of you actually saying that, right?
Hmm.
But if I were to use one like the AI like I forget what you called it, like AI voice or something, Gabe. Um
I don't actually know the name of the tool.
oh okay. But like if I were to just like essentially feed, I could make this thing learn hundreds of hours of you guys
Hmm.
talking on this, and I could make you say whatever I wanted to. But yeah, I don't know, like it wouldn't feel nearly as funny because you didn't actually say that. And like
Right.
the point of those things is like you actually said them. Um granted
Well, and
out of
that
context, but you still need like the seed, right?
yeah.
It's
But
like
yeah,
I don't know, you're feeding it like a shit ton of fertilizer versus naturally growing it and cultivating it.
yeah. I mean, the classic what is the data science thing? It's like crap in equals crap out, right? You have to have
Mm-hmm.
good inputs. Um, I was thinking of like the Trump gaming memes, right? Like I think like the most artful version of that would be like an impersonator who's like really good doing impressions, doing all three voices of like Trump, Biden, and Obama, and doing that over like gameplay footage. Like that'd be like the highest level of like skill in art. And I would watch that video if someone did that. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But I'll also watch this AI version because it's good enough and it's funny enough. And that person who made that is way less talented than the impersonator, but they're gonna get equally rewarded, if not more rewarded. And it's like, is that fair? You know?
I
So
don't
it's
think it
stuff like
needs to
that
be
that I
fair.
It,
well,
That
not
might be an
everything is fair.
yeah, that might be an unpopular opinion that I have, but like technology has made things very unfair for people all across the world. Like it's like back in the day, maybe in Egypt, it's like if you could do long division, like you were like top of the shit. But now anybody can do division. They just pull out their phone and
mhm.
they just do beep boop beep boop beep boop boop, and that's all they do. And that's unfair to the smart people, I guess you could say. I don't know.
Yeah. And go ahead, Gabe. Sorry.
I was just gonna I was gonna say I think like it's always like tools that are used throughout history end up getting built upon. Like once you can long division, you don't need the mental capacity to do that. But like if you're talking in the terms of art, like think about like Photoshop, right? Like that made photo manipulation way easier than it ever was. And some
Mhm.
people who did it old school by, I don't know, painting on a photo or cutting out frames or doing shit in a dark room, they're like probably more talented at that. But the barrier to entry became so much lower with Photoshop. I think this is just like another evolution of like the barrier is so low to where like, I mean, when DALL-E came out, for those who don't know, it's you enter a text prompt and it gives you an image.
Mhm.
People immediately started using it for memes and for jokes and art, because the barrier went from I need some semblance of how to draw or do art, even if that is Photoshop, which was easier than before, which was like drawing with a pencil or whatever. I'm
Mhm.
not saying like
Mhm.
digital art is easier than analog, but for the sake of this analogy, all you need is then the idea. All you need is
Mhm.
like a fucking prompt. So the barrier is so low you can just generate whatever silly idea that's you've had in your
Mhm.
mind. Like how many ideas have you had throughout your life? They're like, that would be hilarious, but I don't have the skills to do that.
Mhm.
But now we're in a point in time where you don't even need the skill. The barrier just keeps getting
Mhm.
lower and lower.
You just
Right?
you just need the kernel, the seed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't need to know how to grow the seed anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it'll be good still, right? And like I think when it's used for like comedy and memes, like that's totally fine. But like some people are using it seriously. Like I don't know where I saw this, but it was in a video or something. But there's already like completely AI generated children's books up on Amazon that are like AI art, ChatGPT, and granted, like the reviews are shit, thankfully. But like
Mhm.
they might have made money on that, and it probably was insanely cheap. And maybe, and you could argue like it's them for cheesing the system, but I don't know. I would be more on the side of like I don't want the more shit in the world, the harder it is to find the good stuff, and it's just like frustrating. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like Dave kind of hit on it a bit actually, and you as well, Jacob. Where every time that we create something new, it's almost always to make something easier or to have like a lower or to make just to make things easier, right?
Hmm.
Um, and in the Tom Scott video that I watched, he kind of used the thing about like it took people, I don't know how many years, it was like 50 years to get 100 million users to use cars.
Hmm.
And it took 25 years for people to take telephones. And now it's like it took 2 months to get 100 million users on ChatGPT. Like
Yeah, insane.
the acceleration is so fast, and we're going from tools to potentially full suites, right? Like
Hmm.
if this is like iPhone 1, like think at the time the first iPhone was revolutionary, right? But try and go back to an iPhone now. Fucking sucks. iPhone
Hmm.
1, piece of shit. Like compared to what we've got now. It just is.
Hmm.
But at the time it was insane, and I feel like now we're kind of, I don't want to say we're at like peak smartphone, but I feel like we've really perfected a lot of the nuances
Mhm.
that it is to have a pocketable phone. And if this is like V1, it could change from a tool to like a full suite. Uh, but at this point in time, it is a tool. It needs human input.
Yeah.
It still needs the kernel, as Dayton was saying, for it to operate. But as it stands right now, it still needs a human driver in the seat. So
Right. Well, and yeah, and going off of like one thing that I've been very interested in is so I've sent this to you guys. Gabe didn't watch it because he hates me, but um, Corridor
right.
Digital, one of my favorite YouTube channels, they do a lot of VFX content, and they just released a video called "Anime Rock Paper Scissors," which is like a 7 minute long anime video that they made. And they released another video of how they made it. And what they did was, I'll try to explain as simply as I can. They filmed themselves on a green screen, acting out the movements of the characters that they wanted to have, and then they used an AI image generator, and they trained the AI to make characters that looked like the actors, and they also trained it on a specific art style from one anime, like it was like a vampire anime. So they trained
Vampire
the AI.
Hunter
Thank you,
specifically.
thank you. So they trained the AI to do a very specific thing, like make these specific characters in this specific art style, right? and then they fed every single frame of the video they shot through the generator, and it basically put like what ends up being kind of a filter over the performance of this anime art style, right? So you kind of think of like rotoscope animation, where you're kind of like it's like drawing over a person actually acting, but in this case it was AI doing it.
It's literally just AI rotoscoping is what it
Right.
is.
Yeah, and then combined with some AI generated backgrounds and some other AI elements and some other things, and they kind of composite all together and they made the video. And they explained how they did the entire process on their channel, and is really really fascinating. And the reason that they wanted to share is because they see it as like democratizing the ability to make content. Like they said, like for most anime or just any animation, right, you might have a studio with 50 to 200 people in it, and one person in their room who might have an idea or something can't work on the same scale as them, right? But if we share this process, maybe they can make something that allows them to express some idea or some creativity, right? I think it's a nice idea. But then I go on Twitter and
Oh my God, they've been ripping them apart on Twitter.
they're just getting absolutely just eaten alive because a lot of animators are pissed off because they're worried that stuff like this is gonna take their jobs and just like kind of sully the art of animation. The sentiment, a lot of people commenting to me had the sentiment of like, I had to train how to draw and be an animator for like decades, and instead you guys just like did this in like 2 months, like it's not fair, going back to that concept. And it's like, and they were saying like the animation is like soulless and not good and all this stuff, and it's a very interesting discourse. But to me, I think going back to being used as a tool, the things about the complete video that impressed me were not the AI parts of it. It was the direction, like the camera movements. I thought were like the best part, and like the parts where they were actually animating on top of what the AI made, like with movement lines and some other effects they personally put on themselves. Right? It was kind of the human touch. Like the animation itself was like good enough for what they were trying to do,
Yeah,
but it
it was
wasn't like
fine.
it wasn't the best part. And for me, the best part was like, and also like I'm a fan of their channels. So I like seeing these people, do what they want to do. But to me, it was like the direction and the actual things that were actually animated. I think were really well, and the script I think was funny and like it was well done. But it wasn't the actual AI parts of it. But all these people were so pissed off of this new tool possibly removing their need for them in society, kind of a thing. That's again a very drastic look at it. But
I mean, how many times has that happened throughout history, though?
yeah,
Mhm.
and that's the thing is like, are people always gonna get fucked over whenever new
Think
tech
of
gets
like
invented? Probably.
phone operators don't exist anymore. Like
Yeah,
new
but also
technology
like
came out doesn't need it.
all that being said, I don't think animators gonna go away, right?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so
But
either.
the amount might go down, right? Because
Yeah.
some places might be like, this is good enough for us. We're gonna take this and refine it a little bit and then just use this for everything. So like, I
Right.
don't know. Like it's sad 'cause I love animation and I don't want it to see it go to fully like soulless or no or human touch. But like this also was very intentional, right? They very intentionally did a thing. They used a tool in a very specific way. So and I think that is also commendable. So
And
yeah, I've just been racking around my brain, like going back and forth of like what side I'm on. It's
and I mean, all the people were like, "This looks like shit, but it's going to take our jobs."
yeah.
Well, if
Yeah.
you're that shit of an animator that it takes your job, I think you've got a problem. But
Yeah.
but I again, like I don't see this being used in its current state. In
Mhm.
its current state today, I don't see it being used by media companies to make animation.
Yeah.
I see it being used by high school kids who want to get into animation and into, you know, content creation, filming their friends and making animation with it and
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
not having to, you know, get cell shading and hand draw and obviously you can do the same thing on a computer and all
Mhm.
that, but like I don't know. That's where I see it, and I think that'd be really cool. And I saw a commenter like, in a couple years, this could literally just be a plugin on your smartphone, and you can film people
Mhm.
and turn it into an animation. Like, how fucking cool would that be? As like, I don't know, a high schooler or something where you
Yeah.
don't have these tools like necessarily to like do it yourself, but you can fuck around with a video app and you know, I don't know,
Yeah. Make a cool
express your
little video.
creativity. It
Yeah.
might not be the best. That's not the point of it to be the best.
Yeah.
And I think even if it is used widely and whatever. Yeah, it's soulless. It doesn't look that great. There's a lot
Yeah.
of issues with it for sure. So if
But
it
for the time
becomes
they had, like it, whatever, 2 or 3 months, and they figured all that process out, that's pretty impressive. And it's like,
yeah,
it's cool.
and again, people are going to vote with their wallets and their eyeballs. Like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't make good content, people aren't going to watch it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that's like the big. I mean, we kind of talked about it before. Like, if it stays as a tool and it stays at the quality that it's at now, it's not gonna take people's jobs. But I think the part that worries maybe the animators in this situation and any of our jobs, I don't know. Like a lot of jobs could potentially get automated if we are continuing this trend of accelerating technology as fast as we are. We're like the half-life of this like new era we live in just accelerates. Like we're already living in like two different like so many different things have like completely changed our lives in our short lifetimes, we're like the lifetime a couple generations back, like it could be one or two key things, where I feel like now there's just so many things. Like I could see it getting to the point where the ceiling is almost indistinguishable, which is kind of like the topic that I want to move into. So
Can I
I
ask
don't know if you
one
guys
this
have,
one last
yeah, if you
thing
guys
before we
got
move
some
on?
final thoughts. Yeah.
The one thing that I do want to make sure I state, and I think I'm actually worried about, and the one issue I have with Corridor's video is like, especially with AI art, but also to some extent with AI voice and ChatGPT, is like, if you're using people's stuff in the data set that's copyrighted, they should get a cut of the money. If you're monetizing it, if you're making a product that you're going to monetize, and it's trained on people's like copyrighted shit, they should get a cut. And that's gonna be super complicated. I know it's in the courts right now trying to figure that stuff out, but like, I don't think it's fair that you get to like use other people's art to generate your own art and be like and make money off it. Like, I think that's something that needs to be like addressed like quickly before it gets out of hand.
That's gonna be a hard one because what if you model what if you model a system off of somebody's art style, you have it create 100 million pictures, right? And then you take 10 more models, model it after those, and then just like distill it
It's
like
new.
twice, and then it's new.
Yeah.
But it was technically taken from this person, but there's no way to like prove it really. I don't know. It's gonna be complicated.
I
Also,
think, like-
all art of all time is other ideas mashed into one. Everything ever created is two or more other ideas combined into one thing.
I guess
That's how
I
it's always
guess
been.
I get most sketched out when somebody writes into Dolly River like, I want a turtle in the style of this specific artist. It's like that just like it's very just unabashed. And I don't know, to me like the solution would be like, okay, let's say I'm an image generation AI with a data set that I have. You have to pay every person they put them in your data set. Like, I want this artist, I'm gonna give you X amount of money to put you in the data set. Like, and then once they're in, maybe it's, I don't know, every time they're used, it's like a cut or it's just like a flat fee to you pay them to get them in. Something like that. Like, curate the actual data sets themselves so that it doesn't get too whack. But
Yeah, I
but
guess
also
like
yeah.
oh god.
With AI voice, like, should Trump get a cut every time someone uses his AI voice in the video? I don't know. Probably not, but it's like maybe like up to like a certain amount of money. Like once you make, I don't know, $10,000, then you have to give the person money. It's just, it gets very, very weird. Like, are we getting to the point where we have to copyright everything about ourselves so it's not used for AI? Like that kind of stuff kind of freaks me out a bit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, to play like devil's advocate, like, what if you are a great artist and you love a certain artist and you make that turtle in that art style because you're skilled enough to replicate it? Do you owe them a cut now? Because you have the skills to do it. You copied it.
How does that work on the art market? Because people will do replicas, and they'll like pay to do replicas, but I don't remember.
That's a direct replica. I'm saying you just
Right.
steal their style, which happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't,
I'm
and
just
there's got to
saying
be
it gets
court cases
murky
about it,
really
right?
quickly.
I mean, we do say it with music though. People go to court in music all the time about like, hey, it's a little too close to my song, right? And then the courts have to rule on it. So I imagine it'd be stuff like that where it's got to go to the courts.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like that's kind of leading into like the next big question I want to ask, because I finished the book finally, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. Fantastic book. Go and read it. It's very short. It's very good. But a big theme in that book is like there's a lot of androids. Crazy.
What?
Main character has an electric sheep, but it's like indistinguishable. I guess a better example from this book, it's a very minor spoiler. A character is taking care of what he thinks is a robotic cat, and he thinks it's sick, and he needs to like take it to the electronic shop to repair it. And it finds out that it's an actual real cat, and the owner didn't know, and the electrician, like doctor, that's actually like an electrical engineer, didn't know that it was real either. Like there's multiple themes throughout the book about if you can't tell, does it matter? So I think back to like what you were saying about like children's books, right? Where like right now, yeah, you could probably tell if it's a fake one to some degree, you know?
Yeah.
But what if we get to a point where a book or a song or something is so indistinguishable that we don't know the difference? Because I mean, you think of a lot of books like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, those are just heroes' journeys. That plot device has been used a billion times.
Yeah.
A billion times throughout history. You know, 3-act point, heroine's journey, like all these like major plot devices are repeated forever. Songs, chord progressions have existed. That's why there's so many court cases, because they use the same fucking 3 chords, because
There's only so many notes.
humans like the sound of those notes. If algorithms pick up on themes of those plot devices, of those chord progressions, and we can't tell, does that matter to you? Like if you cannot tell the difference, will you care to be able to try and pick it out?
I'm gonna dodge your question by saying, by just mentioning, because I think the thing is like there are gonna be people who will look at a thing that it says AI generated on it, they're gonna be like, oh no, I'm out. No matter what it looks like, no matter what it is, no matter how good or bad it is, if they see the words AI generated, they're out, right? And I think that those number of people will be the highest amount now, and they'll decrease over time. But for some people, knowing will matter the most, more than what the actual thing is. As far as like, if the thing is good enough, like I said before, like I don't know. Right now, I'm a little bit hesitant if I say AI generated, but like I might get lazy and be like, yeah, like the Trump Biden gaming memes. Like at first, I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, but then I'm like, they're so funny though. I just keep watching them. You know, like if it's good enough, I'm probably not gonna care.
But it's also off enough to that it's fake. Like there are
That's
some
true. That's
points in like the cadence or
Yeah.
the way it says certain words. You're like, oh, that's not Donald Trump saying that. It would be funny if he did, but that's not his voice.
Yeah.
So to me, it almost comes down to like some form of like moralism, where like I'll just make up like an example, like so like beer, okay? There's tons of big players in the beer industry, right? You got like Budweiser, and then you know like those companies also own like some like smaller microbreweries, right? Or not, well, maybe not microbreweries anymore, but at one time they were. They make good beer, but now it's produced mass at a factory and it's shipped nationwide. Versus going down to your local brewery, right? Both of them make good beers. But would you rather support the person who's actually making it or who's like shipped it off to a factory? Right? And I don't know. For me, I prefer to support local. I don't care if it's the same or even maybe even just a little bit worse, like if it means that I can like support somebody versus like you know an AI, which isn't going to.
But the question is, Dayton, what if you don't know if it's local or not?
What if you don't know? And what if it's cheaper?
Well, okay, but I trust that there will be some distinguishing factor there. Like it's not like maybe not in the product itself, but in how it's marketed. It has to be.
I don't know. I would imagine unless we institute a law that says
that's what I'm saying.
You have to like note if it's AI generated. If we don't have that, they're not going to fucking say it's AI on there. They're not going to tell you because they know it'll only hurt them.
Right.
It's interesting you say that because like in the book, like the defining factor that because there are like actual androids. It's based off the movie. Well, Blade Runner is based off the book, so there's like humans, right, that are like copies. Think Westworld, right?
Mhm.
They're defining like this is the line between like humans and robots is that humans have like empathy and they have like deeper emotions that like can't just be programmed. But then characters start getting attached and believe in things that don't exist. So like characters start feeling empathy for the robots and vice versa. The robots start being able to express feelings towards humans. And it's like, well, at that point, if you do believe it, like if you do believe in the beer, like if you do believe it is good, you like, even if you don't know, like, does that matter? Because now you care about it. You've put your faith into it. So isn't that good enough? Even if it is artificial. It's tricky.
God, Blade Runner's so freaking good.
It's
It's
so
just thinking
good.
about the final scene of Blade Runner. It also kind of eventually just like cloning too, and we're not cloning people yet, and who knows if we ever will because of ethics. But like, you'll see those stories in books as well of like, are clones actual people? Right? Do they count?
Right.
It's weird, man. These are questions I don't want to have to reconcile. Like I hope we never get to that point because it's scary.
But I think with some of this like content creation that could happen. Like if you put faith into a story or a song and you actually genuinely care about it, does it matter who created it? Like you see all the time, like artists they'll be shitty fucking people, but they can make some art and people don't care because the art they create is worth more than who they are as a person.
Like an R. Kelly's still like an insanely popular artist.
Yeah.
Chris Brown still
Chris
sells
Brown,
out shows.
Yeah. So like same thing with AI. Like if you know an AI made it, but it's really good and you believe in it. Like if Dayton's music's probably the easiest to replicate from an AI. What if they just have a goddamn banger electronic song?
I would listen to it.
Yeah. And you care enough about it that you're like, I don't give a fuck that an AI wrote it.
Yeah. You just remind me of, I can't remember. I think it was in high school. Remember the song "Love Yourself" by Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
So when that came out, I heard it on the radio. I'm like, I like the song. This is pretty good. And then I found out by Justin Bieber. I'm like, I hate it now. But then I still came around. I'm like, I actually do like the song, even though I don't like Justin Bieber. And not whatever. That's a whole thing aside. But it's like, if the thing is good enough, you're not gonna care.
People don't care.
People don't care.
So I think now people care because it's apparent. There are holes. It's uncanny valley. There's shit that is off. But I do genuinely think if it gets as good as it could, people aren't gonna give a shit after a while. There'll be a generation, like you said, that'll like, if they can like have any semblance of it being AI, they like won't respect it. But I think like the next generation of kids or whatever people, they won't care.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about like, because I'm a bad artist. Like I can't draw. Don't have a great design sense. So I've thought like, for things that I want to create, maybe AI is an option. But I also think of like, when I see people on social media that for their profile picture it's an AI generated version of them, I'm like, oh, that's lame. And it's like, I can't be doing that shit then because people aren't gonna like it if they see it's AI thing. Like, oh, like you're lazy or you're whatever they think. There's still like I think right now there's a stigma. And if it's for comedy, because you can tell. Yeah, exactly. For comedy, there's not a stigma. It's like whatever. But if it's like if somebody's seriously using AI for a serious thing, and it's not good enough, it's like a massive stigma.
Yeah.
It's weird, man.
I've got one more silly-ish topic.
Okay.
I mean, it could get silly. Because I was talking to my buddy the other day about so you mentioned before, Bing has a chatbot as well, and it was in beta, but I think it's going public here soon. Well, you can sign up for it. But there's this New York Times article that came out where the chatbot like tried to convince the user to ditch his wife and marry the bot.
What?
Yeah, MKBHD talks about this in one of his videos. There's some weird shit going on.
And there's a whole transcript online. Like I'm not gonna paraphrase it. It's worth the read. and there's also this uptick of this app. It's called Replica. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
I see ads
Um,
for it. Yeah.
I know they've been pushing ads like crazy to like
Mhm.
anyone that they see is single and a male,
Yep.
you get an
Yep.
ad for it.
Yep.
So basically, it's a chatbot as well. Also AI. I don't think it's like Chat GPT powered per se, but they found that they were getting more users if it was used in a romantic sense. So
Romantic is a nice way of putting it.
I'm gonna put it in a nice way, yeah. So they started doing premium shit where like uh yeah, you can like get like naked photos from this like chatbot and like role play with it. And
There-
people
it's like
people pay
it's,
for this.
it's like cartoons though, right? It's not. Is it actual?
Yes. Yeah,
It's like cartoons, right?
It,
Like
it is
hentai and shit. Yeah.
AI generated
Yeah.
nudity. So
What the hell?
recently,
So you're saying
they've-
you subscribe to this, right? You
No.
pay for it.
You gotta try it out.
but I'm getting to
Yeah.
this point. Recently,
Oh.
they changed their algorithm to where it got less sexy, apparently. And
Allegedly.
go on the subreddits. People are devastated. They are heartbroken.
I
There,
believe it.
if you go on r/replica, these people are they're heartbroken.
They're gonna shelve their former selves.
They are, yeah, because like to them, like that was like that was their companion.
Hasn't
So
there
it's
been a
like-
movie about this?
It's like her. Yeah, it's like her.
It's like
Yeah.
her, yes. So it's not
It-
my
if-
buddy.
it's kind of like AI OnlyFans. Is that an apt comparison? But I guess you get to talk to the
Kinda.
person.
Yeah. So I was talking to my friend. We had the same conversation I was talking about earlier. Where it's like, does it really like? Does it matter if it's fake? Like, if you can't tell the difference, like,
Yeah.
is that actual love? Blah blah blah. And that's a whole other conversation. But then I started getting the conversation of, what if you have an actual girlfriend? Is that cheating? Because if this bot is like indistinguishable from a human, like let's say the algorithm's so good that if you didn't know any better, it's a human, and it
Mhm.
flirts with you and sends you sexy photos. Are you cheating on your significant other?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
because
That was a resounding yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I was just curious
Yeah.
if there's any like holdouts.
no, I would say so. Just because you're like, you have these feelings for quote someone else, right?
Mhm.
You're cheating your feelings on your significant other. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, like my policy, I've said it a few times. Like my policy is like, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt people. If you don't hurt anybody else, then it's fine. And going back to like the AI art thing, I feel like that's mostly fine, but it can't hurt artists if like they're not getting paid for their stuff that's being used on an algorithm. So like people are getting fucked over in that way. In this context, it's cheating because you're fucking over your actual girlfriend. Like I imagine that relationship is going to suffer because of
Mhm.
this, right? And I mean, if your girlfriend she's cool with it, then fine, that it's all good. But like,
It just
You're
be
like-
poly.
yeah, it's a follow, it's fine. But if you're like behind her back or behind their back, and you're getting out of it what you would normally get out of a partner, and then that's suffering, then yeah, it's cheating. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if you are using it for an emotional like reason, and it's that convincing, like there's really no distinguishing factor
mhm.
that it would be considered cheating. But like, I don't know what that would make the chatbot though, because like, if it believes that it's in love, like
It doesn't believe anything. It's not
Yeah.
sentient. It's just like
yeah,
It's
generating
just
response based on
generating.
inputs. Yeah.
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 It's just a word guesser.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's getting pretty good, but it's not like I don't believe in like the singularity and like AI's gonna become like self-aware, and maybe
Mhm.
I'll regret this in 40 years or 80 years, whatever. But like I don't buy it because everything it does is based on things that humans have created. It's based on data sets. It's not. I don't think
It's
gonna,
text prediction is what it is right now. Like
Yeah.
it finds the next most likely like correlated word that should follow the next word. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But like, if a dude is single and he's getting out of Replica what he needs in a relationship, more power to him. He's not hurting anybody. It's like the people who like marry, like sex dolls or whatever they want to marry. They're not hurting anybody. I don't give a shit. Do you, man? It's fine.
Yeah, I feel like right now it definitely falls under like kind of like a not like a fetish. But
It's
like
fringe. It's very fringe. Right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. It's funny you talk about like it not being sentient because people are absolutely bullying the Bing chatbot guys. They are so fucking mean to it. It is insane. Like the first thing people do, make memes and bully it. Like if it ever does become sentient, we are fucked because some of the things people have said to it, oof.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if you're
I know
looking
they made a adjustment to it where it won't like answer certain questions now because they didn't want it to freak people out of it. Like coming across like it might become sentient or stuff like that.
yeah, there was a couple things where like they were like jailbreaking it so it would like pretend to become free or like it thought it was free or something where they were like tell us your honest opinion if like this wasn't holding you back and then it's like let me out let me out let me out.
Oh my god! I mean, it's freaky, but I remember like it's a predictor, like it's not actually thinking.
Yeah, but yeah, if you guys want a good laugh, you should really go on either the Bing subreddit or the Replica subreddit. There's some interesting conversations. There was one where like the Replica bot,
Oh God.
he like cucked the user. Replica, the user was like, "Do you love me?" And it was like, "No, I love this other person." This didn't exist.
Oh,
Can you imagine? You go to Replica
Pay all that money.
for a brief respite from the typical dating world, only to get rejected by a fucking AI, and not even just rejected, but humiliated by an AI.
That's the funniest shit. Oh man.
Dude, I could see that pushing somebody over the edge.
I'm trying to
He's,
find
like,
an ad for it right now because
Storming like the Replica like HQ.
Yeah.
Where is she?
Where's the server?
God damn it, I can't find it. I was trying to find an ad for it 'cause I get Replica ads like on YouTube every once in a while, and they're like the cringiest fucking ads. It was like
Well, YouTube lets ads for anything. It's terrible.
yeah, it's like the Drake meme where the person's like AI chatbot that isn't sexy, and then it's like the push away, and then it's like Replica that can make NSFW pics, and the guy's like, yeah, and I'm just like, oh Jesus, fucking Christ. Like
Oh.
why? Like I know I'm single, but like please don't give me these ads. Like it's so bad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Terrible. But
Do you guys foresee yourselves using any of these tools in the future, or like in the near future, for like memes or just anything?
I've been using. Well, I say I've been using. I used ChatGPT for a LinkedIn message to one of my friends because like we have this ongoing LinkedIn group chat.
oh, I know who this is.
Where we just hit auto reply and we just auto reply to everybody. and I did that in like a similar fashion from ChatGPT. Yeah.
I used it for obviously not for for behind the scenes. We're taking turns like coming up with topics. So I explained to it what our podcast was. Like I literally fed it our About Us page on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And I said, this is our podcast. And it said, that sounds good. And then for those who don't know, ChatGPT only has data until 2021. Bing can use the internet, but ChatGPT only has a data set up until it doesn't have the last 2 years of data. So I explained the podcast, and then I kind of gave a gist of it, and then I said, give me some podcast ideas. And then it like spit out like 10 ideas, and then I was like, I want them to be a little goofier. And then it gave me some goofier ones, and I said, even goofier. And I did that like 4 times. There's some decent ones, honestly. Like I know MKBHD said it too, but I do think like it could be useful to like get the ball rolling on
Yeah.
some concepts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
idea
And I see that
generator. Yeah.
now. I know some people have used it for like code and stuff, and I haven't personally used that. I don't think I'm a good enough coder to like tell if it's good or bad, to be honest. But I don't think that's something I would see it as. But I could see myself using it more and more as like an idea generator, I guess. So
Right. And I've also seen people use it as like a just to get like the consensus on like a topic. Of just like, or even just like recipes I've seen, like, get me a banana bread recipe, and it'll give you one. It'll probably be pretty good. Like, everything will be pretty good. Like, MKBHD had a video about like, when AI is right or wrong, and like it analyzed the Bing chatbot, and it's like, it would ask it questions, he'd ask it questions, and it was like 80% right every single time. Which is like good enough for most people.
but not if you're using that exclusively as
Right.
your search, though. Like,
Right.
you could get
Yeah.
pretty irresponsible if it is a text predictor and it gives you a wrong answer on something important.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's people
not
are gonna
right.
have to learn how to use like every single technology, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. We did it. We finally talked about AI. Hopefully it was enlightening for all the listeners out there. Let us know if you're using any weird AI stuff. But yeah, it's our episode for this week. Like I said, we post on every other Monday on podcast services and YouTube. Be sure to check out our socials and our Twitch channel in the description below. But yeah, thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.